Now,
based your entire answer on current practice in the United States, which you choose to call torture. I'm not here to defend the United States, to make any comment on the United States. My question wasn't about the United States. It's about Asia, and it's about your commitment to democracy, to public freedom of expression, to what we call a human rights agenda. Now, China clearly isn't committed at the moment. Singapore isn't committed in any way that we would recognize. My question is, how can you convince me, if Asia is indeed the coming power in the 21st century, how can you convince me that Asia is going to adopt a genuine human rights agenda?
Your question is about how we judge societies. The assumption in your question is that we have certain standards by how we judge West societies. And you're saying that Asia is not getting it, and implicitly the West is getting it. You're obviously completely out of touch with how the world sees the West today. You have no idea how the perception of the West has changed cluelessly. Western commentators continue to give lectures to the rest of the world, and you become the laughingstock of the world. They say, these guys, at the moment they get a slight hint of insecurity, guess what? They practice torture, they run away from civil liberties, the European countries allow rendition programs through their air flights. What right do they have to lecture the rest of the world on human rights? Actually, the advances in human rights today are being made in Asia, and guess what? The retreat on human rights is being made in the West. You think the rest of the world cannot see it? If you look at the rising levels of education in the world, believe me, one of the key things in my book is about the hundreds of millions of people being educated. And in this much more educated universe, they look at the West and say, come on, when will these guys wake up and see the real world for what it is? We are moving forward and you are moving backward.
And that's a huge very interesting point you made. You seem to believe that in the end it is economic development and increased prosperity that delivers people's freedom, not democratic reform. You write, at the heart of Asia's story is the empowerment of hundreds of millions of individuals. The West misses the massive democratization of the human spirit that is taking place in China. And that, you seem to be saying, is taking place without democratic reform, because there certainly isn't democratic reform.
You see, this is where I introduce a distinction between freedom and democracy. Okay? Now, China doesn't have a democratic system. That's well known. Even the Chinese admit it. But if you look at it from the point of view of the Chinese people over the last 200 years, at their condition, look at it in the 1840s when the British came and said, please, we want to buy your tea. We offer you opium written. When the Chinese said no, you bombarded them. They went through hell over the last 200 years. The last 30 years of China's history have been the best they've enjoyed in 200 years. People who could barely get food to eat have choices. When you can make a choice of where to live, where to work, what to eat, what to buy, what university to go to, these are a huge expansion of human freedom.